Hello everybody and welcome back to Streamline, the custom F1 Challenge series where we take our brand new fledgling Formula 1 team Streamline and take it all the way to the very top, starting in the 1988 season. Thank you so much for the support on the first episode, it was amazing. And we're back here for round 2 of the 88 season. It's the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola. And look at that circuit layout, absolutely flat from the start line all the way up until the hairpin called Tosa. It's a very fast circuit, but we know that our car is suffering from massive amounts of drag, so it's going to be a very difficult weekend, I think. Martin Brundle, 81 overall, he's there and he's ready to go. Of course, we only have one driver, no reserve, no test driver as of right now, and the sunny qualifying, pre-qualifying and race, that is the weather forecast for this weekend. 61 laps is the race. I think it should be 60 laps, but it's 61 laps. And the objective, once again, will just be to qualify for the race. We go into this one with McLaren and Ferrari tied at the top of the Constructors' Championship, with Streamline Engineering down in 10th after a very strong opening weekend. Hopefully, we can sort of still be up there or thereabouts come the end of this race weekend as well, but we'll have to wait and see. Martin Brundle is still in high spirits after finishing that first race of the season. So no retirement so far. We got 100% finish rate. I'd very much like to keep that intact as well. You guys have been suggesting reserve and test drivers for us to hire. I'll look into that later on in the season. See if we can get a reserve driver in just in case. The car screen, there are a few upgrades today which we'll see in the news. So the car performance chart in the bottom right has changed around a bit, and you'll see when we get to the email section we have committed to upgrading a certain part of the car with a big sizable upgrade for round 6, so stay tuned for that one. First, let's have a look at the news. McLaren have assured fans that Prost's form is still there. He just had a bad weekend in Brazil and they fully expect the Frenchman to bounce back this weekend. Ligier are reportedly furious at Johansson for failing to qualify for the opening race of the season. The French outfit are confident that their package is good enough to qualify for every race with both cars. Judd have brought an upgrade to the power of their engines, but their reliability is still a major factor. March not only have the Judd upgrade, but they have also saved some weight on their car as they look to record their first finish of the season. Arrows have brought a sizable upgrade with improvements to the weight, body and diffuser. Minardi bring a small body upgrade, and backmarkers Eurobrun also bring an upgrade. The diffuser is the area of the car they have worked on. Streamline have announced the signing of a new sponsor to bolster their financial position, with tech giants Toshiba coming in. And that is all for the news this week. I get to introduce you to a new member of the team today, Graham Ames, who is Martin Brundle's race engineer. He's just reflecting on the first race and thinking that it went well, and he's looking forward to building his relationship between him and Martin Brundle. He's saying that as the season progresses, they'll understand each other better, and hopefully that can lead to stronger race results and stronger actions out on the circuit. So I'll look forward to that. And we have another new member, Matt Hughes, who is the technical director. He's just confirming the first batch of upgrades that we will have, and we're going to put 10 points into the body. So our body is 58 rated, 10 points will bring it up to 68 rated, and that'll be there on the car for round 6, along with 6 points into the diffuser, which I think brings it around 68 points as well, and that'll leave us with 12 points for the rest of the upgrades this season. So make sure to keep commenting what you think we should upgrade on the car as the season goes on. Martin Brundle was happy with his debut. What a debut, he says with an exclamation mark. So he's very happy. He had his doubts before the season started where the Streamline would be in terms of performance, and he says that the car is actually ahead of where he thought it would be, but it is incredibly imbalanced, and that's why he keeps making mistakes. It's not his fault as a driver, it's the car's fault, which is a typical driver excuse, really, I'd say. And Barry Goodman confirming we have a new sponsor. Toshiba have signed up for the next 7 races, so that'll be up until the halfway point this season, and that'll be splashed across the rear wing and on the rear wing end plates, so it'll look very nice and striking on the car. And hopefully throughout the season we can build up more relationships with more sponsors and really fill out the sponsors on the vehicle itself. And here is the sponsor screen that I was just talking about. Toshiba signing up for 7 races. Rexona have 7 races left on their contract. If all goes well, we can just renegotiate with them and get them on the car for the rest of the season as well. Or if we want to switch up, we can switch up. I've written down all the names of the companies that you guys have suggested in the comments, so we can go through them as and when we need to, because we can still fill out the body for a few new sponsors, I think. Onto the news then. Bailey McIntosh once again speaking to us. Well, speaking to the news, I suppose. He's just reviewing the 1988 Brazilian Grand Prix, and he highlights the pole performance of Alain Prost, and so does Heather Walker from Engine Temp, saying Alain Prost is broken, suggesting that maybe he has issues away from the circuit, maybe issues at home, personal battles that he is struggling to overcome, or maybe the strength of his new teammate is overwhelming. That's a very strong look on things, to be sure. Lauren Hook, who is the first time we're seeing her this season from inside F1, she's inside Scuderia Italia. And Dallara and Scuderia Italia, that grouping, apparently have a lot of resources to play with when it comes to car upgrades. So as this season progresses, we might see Scuderia Italia bring big upgrades to the car. They only have one car, Alex Caffey, so it'll be interesting to see how that develops throughout this season. Anyway, enough talk, enough admin. Let's go and see what happened at pre-qualifying for the San Marino Grand Prix.
Okay mate, so we've gone for some more downforce to make up time in the middle sector because of our added drag, so try your best.
So Tarquini takes the early advantage as Martin Brundle completes his first lap in pre-qualifying.
Lovely stuff mate, good job, good job. Oh, I had a big moment in the middle sector, so we're boxing this lap.
Tarquini then encounters a gearbox issue which is going to limit his running towards the end of this session. And with only a few minutes left to go, this happens.
I've spun. Do we have time for another run? Yep, just about.
Fifth place, Martin Brundle is on verge of getting knocked out in pre-qualifying. He needs this lap to be good enough, and it is. He then goes even faster for good measure.
Yes, good job mate. Pressure was on, but you did it.
After that scare, Martin Brundle still makes it through. Gabriele Tarquini, though, once again the fastest in pre-qualifying. Stefano Modena makes it through to qualifying for the first time this season. Alex Caffey is through in the Scuderia Italia, and Oscar Larori in the second Eurobrun misses out. I'll tell you what, that was close, Martin Brundle making it through out of pre-qualifying. I knew it was going to be a difficult circuit, this one, because of the long straights, especially in that first sector. We were really focusing on the middle sector. Let's see what happened in qualifying for the 88 San Marino Grand Prix. The session was underway, and Derek Warwick in the Arrows was the first driver to take pole position. But that was short-lived as the Williams of Riccardo Patrese headed out and Julie took provisional pole. But that would surely be beaten by some of the faster guys later on, as Martini actually ran into an issue, missing his front wing. So not good for the Minardi. But here goes Martin Brundle to start his first flying lap.
Be wary mate, there might be traffic on the lap.
There was certainly a form of traffic, with Satoru Nakajima having a massive incident at the corner Tosa, and he's going to miss the remaining race weekend. Martin Brundle powers on though and sets his first lap time of the session.
Okay mate, good time, good time. Do you think you can go faster?
As Martin Brundle's race engineer tries to get him to go faster, Ayrton Senna goes faster than them all and takes pole position, but that is shortly beaten by his teammate Alain Prost about 20 minutes into the 1 hour qualifying session. Can the Frenchman hold on to it? Maurizio Gugelmin's session will go no further. The March driver suffering engine failure, and after suffering a retirement in the first race, it's not looking good for him. Alex Caffey, not too good either. That's a gearbox issue, forcing him out of the session, and Ayrton Senna, with about 20 minutes left, takes pole position again.
Okay mate, all or nothing on this lap. This is the final lap we're going to have in this qualifying session.
So the pressure is on for Martin Brundle. He's on the verge here. He's 23rd place at the moment, but there's still a few drivers out there who can go faster. Of course, Nakajima not taking part. He's not even setting a lap time, so Nakajima will be out of qualifying. He'll fail to qualify and be classified down in 30th places through into the first real braking zone. Well, it is the first braking zone on the circuit, Tosa, the hairpin, and back up the hill. That's the first timing line that we're going to go through right now. And actually, Martin Brundle down by a 1/10.5 on his previous best, so it's not the strongest start to the lap, but all this time can be made up in this middle sector by the Streamline, which is built for this middle sector alone, really, not that first sector, because of the drag we know we have on the car. And Martin Brundle navigating the corners absolutely perfectly as we're about to go into the third sector. Will the time be up on the previous best? Martin Brundle, all he needs to do is get into the top 26 to meet the aims and objectives of the team, which is of course to qualify for every single race this season. And through the second timing line, Martin Brundle is up by 1.2 tenths, so it's looking pretty good as he's just been bumped down to 24th place, so this lap really needs to count for Brundle. He's heading towards the final two chicanes. It's first the right left and then the left right, and Brundle hooking it up almost perfectly. How much speed does he dare take through the final chicane? Quite a lot, and down towards the line. Martin Brundle's time on the board is a 1:33.0, a good lap.
Fantastic stuff, mate. That's us on the grid.
Senna!
And here's the starting grid for the 1988 San Marino Grand Prix. It's a McLaren front row lockout for the first time this season technically. Ayrton Senna on pole with Alain Prost in second place. Gerhard Berger and Michele Alboreto, the two Ferraris at their home Grand Prix, in third and fourth. Nigel Mansell manages fifth, with reigning world champion Nelson Piquet starting down in sixth. Patrese in seventh, followed by the two Benettons of Boutsen and Nannini, with the March of Capelli rounding out the top 10. Warwick and Cheever on the following row of the grid, followed by Gugelmin, Arnoux and Alio. The top 15 set. 16th place is Stefan Johansson, making it to the grid for the first time this season. Then it's the two Minardis, Perez Sala ahead of Martini. Gabriele Tarquini once again impressing in the Coloni up in 19th place, with Philip Streif rounding out the top 20. Yannick Daumas sets off from 21st and Martin Brundle there in 22nd place. The Tyrrell of Parma in 23rd. Then it's the Dallara of Caffi, Modena and Bailey making the grid. Schneider, Larini, Ginzani and Nakajima miss out. It's a two-stop strategy today for Martin Brundle, going for a long first stint to pit on lap 25, then a very short second stint, only lasting 10 laps, pitting on lap 35, and then going all the way to the end. By the time we get to the end, I'm sure we'll be multiple laps down, and the weather is absolutely perfect. So there's only one more thing to do, and that's go racing. The 1988 San Marino Grand Prix is next.
This is it. Good luck.
3 lights, 4 lights and 5. The San Marino Grand Prix is underway, and Martin Brundle getting a slightly bogged down start, already losing a couple of positions there to Palmer on the left and Alex Caffi jumping up in the Dallara. This is a flat turn one all the way round, but there's already incidents up ahead as the two Benettons getting into it. There's Boutsen running into the back of Patrese and losing his front wing, and now he has to defend from his teammate Alessandro Nannini, which should be an easy pass for Nannini as we head up the hill after Tosa, the hairpin on lap 1. Does Nannini dart to the inside of this left-hander as we go downhill braking? He does, but he's going to run wide and into the wall. He loses his front wing as well, so both Benettons in the wars. They'll go down to 25th and 26th place. But back to Martin Brundle's on board during that first sector, and he's side by side with the Dallara, or the Scuderia Italia, of Alex Caffi, who breaks later. Caffi does, as Palmer gets squeezed to the inside. As that Philip Streif getting involved in an incident there, I think it might be.
Take the car for down. I'm trying to go past because I think I hear somebody.
Martin Brundle just asking the team to check for damage, as later on lap 1, down the hill we go into this very awkward chicane. Brundle tries up the inside of Tarquini. The Coloni driver defends successfully and holds on.
Tarquini's racing hard.
And Martin Brundle complaining that he's being raced hard by Gabriele Tarquini, but not as hard as Palmer.
Second race of the round. This guy completely disregards the rules. Is every time.
Martin Brundle should do less complaining and more racing. As we start lap 2, Senna still holds the lead off the start, Prost in second, and they're already trying to build up a gap to the Ferraris in third and fourth. Berger ahead of Alboreto, and the Tifosi will really want to see a good result here today. I think Capelli is already up to 8th, And Nannini and Boutsen, of course, pitting at the end of that first lap. So they'll fall from 9th and 10th all the way down to the back of the grid, which might bring Martin Brundle into the top 20 as it stands. Piquet's up a position up to 5th and Patrese up to 6th. So Mansell had a bad start. He's already slipped down to 7th place. I think he started in 5th as well, as all the drivers really pushing the envelope on track limits.
Caution, caution.
There's an incident there, and this might involve... Oh, is that Yannick Dalmas out of the race? Dalmas is out of the race. I think he got rear-ended. We'll see the replay here. And that's Philip Strife in the AGS just running into the back of Dalmas, wiping him out the race and taking Strife's front wing off. And now this will be a battle between Palmer and Brundle as we head into the middle sector to try and get past both Dalmas and Strife and see who can do it better, as Palmer's run well wide there. And through goes Brundle.
But we're there, sir. We're in 20th place now. Keep it up. Guys, don't talk to me whilst I'm battling other cars. Go on.
I think that's 3 complaints from Brundle in the space of a lap and a half, so it's going well. As Alboreto putting a move on Berger, but it seems Berger's slowing down. This is lap 4 of the race, and Alboreto streaking away in 3rd place. And Berger really under pressure now from Piquet, and then the 2 Williams. I think he might have a gearbox issue here, and he does. Ferrari reporting that he does have a gearbox issue, so Berger will be bringing it into the pits on the end of lap 4 to retire from the race. He's the first retirement, and the home crowd will be very, very disappointed with what they've just seen there.
Tarquini's an issue, so it should be an easy pass.
And it seems another Italian this time, Tarquini. Italian driver, not Italian team. Well, it actually is Italian team as well. It's another retirement. It's another gearbox issue. We saw so many in the first race, and we're already seeing 2 in the first 4 laps here at the second race of the season. As Alessandro Nannini working his way back up the field after that pit stop for a new front wing. This is lap 5, and he's putting a move... Oh, he's trying to put a move on Alex Caffey in the Dallara. And this should be an easy move for the Benetton. You can see Boutsen in the background trying to make his way through as well. And here's Alain Prost putting pressure on Senna. And Senna runs wide, and so does Prost. Prost into the wall. Prost out of the race for the second race running. Absolutely disastrous from Alain Prost, who must have just followed Senna's line and just took it a bit too far. He's pushing the envelope, and it's not really paying off for Prost. He's really struggling this season, as on lap 7.
Nice straight line speed. It's ridiculous.
Brundle, 4th complaint of the day. He's getting passed by the Benettons, which is to be expected, one after the other. Nannini first, then it's Boutsen second. But Martin Brundle up in 18th place right now. It's actually looking decent, as long as he can get to the end of the race, of course. As here's Alessandro Nannini putting a move on Jonathan Palmer. As Palmer might try and fight this one back up the inside into Tosa, but thinks better of it in the end. As on lap 9, Brundle making a mistake into the chicane. That's not good.
Martin, every day carried the car? Yes, yeah, all fine.
Well, he was complaining over mail that the car is very unbalanced, which explains the incidents he's been having so far this season. As on lap 10, we have Senna in the lead, Alboreto now in second, so we do have a Ferrari in the podium places. Then it's Piquet, who started 6th up to 3rd. Ivan Capelli, the Italian, up in 4th place, and I'm pretty sure he started down in about 9th. So a very good race from the March so far. There must be an issue with the telemetry on Nigel Mansell's car, because he is definitely in the top 6 at this stage of the race. He should be right behind his teammate, but it seems he's not right now. Anyway, Gugelmin, Johansson and Arnoux, the battle we're seeing on circuit in our view right now is the battle for 7th place. So basically on the verge of points. The Ligiers looking good today. And Johansson actually trying to challenge Gugelmin down the main straight. He has to think better of it because he doesn't have that brute force in the engine to overpower the March powered by Judd. And on lap 11, it's all going to come to the end of the race for Jonathan Palmer. The Tyrrell, engine failure there, and dare I say that's karma for Palmer. He's out of the race after putting a weird move on Martin Brundle on the opening lap of this one. Onto lap 12, and it's the 2 Williams battling, heading towards Tosa, and Mansell's outbroke himself into the back of his own teammate and into the wall. Mansell out of the race, Patrese out of the race, missing his rear wing. The 2 Williams come together on lap 12. Disaster there And still on lap 12, Nannini getting past Perez Sala, and that's for 10th place. So Nannini back up into the top 10, and Boutsen will surely follow him through in a matter of moments.
You can get this guy, just keep the pressure on.
So Martin Brundle being jeered on by his race engineer to put the pressure on Alex Caffey and regain that position. It'll be for 14th place, and every lap in the middle sector, which is where the car is focused setup wise, Martin Brundle really closes up to the back of the Scuderia Italia. As here's Nannini trying to put a move on Johansson, goes to the inside. Johansson just opens the door into Tosa. This is a battle for 7th place now. So right now the Benettons in 8th and 9th on lap 17. They're making great progress through the field. They could be in the points in a matter of a few laps. And up the inside there, can't make it through Nannini and runs wide, and so does Boutsen. Every driver running wide at that corner, it seems. As here we have Gugelmin, who's reporting problems with his suspension on the radio, and he's stopping. Oh, is that Johansson's run into him, and Boutsen's run into him. Two drivers crashing into the back. And they're both missing front wings as well. Or is that Nannini? That's Nannini. So Nannini and Johansson having to pit again. Oh dear. Not a good day for the Benetton squad, as Alex Caffey still under huge amounts of pressure from Brundle, but Brundle still can't make it through.
There's been an incident, so a few drivers in the pits, so for the time being we're up to 12th place, lap 19.
12th place for Martin Brundle. That would be a great result if he could do it. And Caffey diving for pit lane, so it's going to be 11th place as we start lap 20.
11th place.
Brilliant stuff. Lap 20, and there's only 17 drivers left in the race after Gugelmin's incident with a few other drivers. But Capelli and Chiva have been pretty much battling nose to tail for the entirety of this race, and they're currently running in 4th and 5th place respectively. So it's looking good there. Senna still leads the way, Alboreto 2nd and Piquet 3rd, so the top 3 still the same. Boutsen has made it back into the points. At one point, Boutsen, after lap 1 or lap 2, was down in 26th place, and now he is 6th by lap 20. That's the drive of the day so far by an absolute mile. Thierry Boutsen doing an absolutely brilliant job there. René Arnoux not doing too bad. Deligier in 7th place as it stands. As on lap 21, Nannini, after his extra pit stop, is making his way past Martin Brundle.
Yellow flags ahead, yellow flags, caution.
And there's somebody off. I think that's Alboreto. That's a Ferrari in the wall. And it is Alboreto. Brake failure into Tosa. And that's the second failure we've seen into that. Oh, that's a big incident. Alboreto might be hurt from that one. That was a huge crash on lap 22 now. And Martin Brundle is now into the top 10, which is a great result. But it all goes wrong.
I've had a crash. A crash. Okay, Martin, can you bring it back to the pits? No, we're out.
And Brundle, well, he's complaining about the balance of the car, and that's probably an imbalance in the car there. It's just snapping over the crest of the hill and hard into the wall, suspension destroyed. And Nannini, though, making a move on Martini for 6th place, so both Benettons now, I believe, into the points. Bit of argy-bargy there on the exit of the corner as well, as we're now on to lap 30. Only 15 drivers left in this one. Martin Brundle will be classified retirement, but 16th place technically, as Senna and Piquet the top 2. There's the number 1 on the Lotus, Piquet, having a good race here. He scored points in the first round of the season, but he's not getting his title defence off to the best of starts because he's just been nowhere. The Lotus really hasn't been, by any stretch of the imagination, a fast car. I think they're about the 3rd or 4th quickest over a race distance. Definitely behind the McLarens and the Ferraris, but Capelli now in 3rd place. He'll be very happy with that. And Eddie Chiva in 4th, Boutsen and Nannini, the 2 Benettons, like I said, in the top 6. As Alex Caffey, he's had a brake failure as well into Tosa. That's a 3rd brake failure into that corner today. That's getting very dangerous. Very dangerous. As Perez Sala versus Johansson. This is the battle for 8th place. Johansson putting on the pressure, not managing to get through on the Minardi. As of right now, as lap 32 Senna in, so he's on a 1-stop. Senna rejoining in a comfortable 1st place. So Senna really controlling this race so far. He's the championship leader, and you can see why. Nelson Piquet now in 2nd, so it's the 2 Brazilians 1st and 2nd. And that's Ivan Capelli diving into the pit, so that actually releases Eddie Chiva for the first time this race to move up into 3rd place. as the battle between Arrows and March rages on. Lap 37, Martini stopping on the circuit. I believe that might be a suspension issue for the Italian. Another Italian retirement this race. And Alio and Perez Sala, who have been battling in the top 10 for, well, the entire race pretty much after all those retirements earlier on. And it's a race in the pit lane between the Minardi crew and the Lola or LaRousse crew. And who's going to get the upper hand? It looks like it's going to be Alio. Alio's got the jump on Perez Sala and moves up into 8th place. A great pit stop there from the LaRousse crew. Absolutely fantastic. As we're on to lap 40. And only 13 drivers remain in this one, but still just over 20 laps to go. Senna, Piquet, Chiva, the top 3 now. Chiva, I think he's on a 1-stop. He's probably got that 3rd place in the bag, as long as nothing goes wrong. Stefano Modena, who we're looking at right now, is making his first race start of the season in 11th place, ahead of Bailey and Strife. It's a very good race so far from Stefano Modena, who is at his home Grand Prix, may I remind you. That's looking very good for the Euro Brun driver. Johansson in the top 10 with his teammate Arnoux up in 7th place as well as Philip Strife. That might be a gearbox issue. I think the AGS driver is out of this one. Much action happening out on circuit anymore. And on lap 50, Senna still has the lead. 12 drivers remain. Of course, 6 drivers score points this season. 10 for a win, 6 for 2nd place, 4 for 3rd. And Piquet, if he wants to mount any sort of challenge this season, he needs these good results. I doubt he's going to challenge. Obviously, he's not going to challenge. The McLarens and the Ferraris are too fast for the Lotus. And the development race, I don't think Lotus are going to be able to catch up. Especially not to the McLarens, who have been so far ahead of the competition so far this season. But they've been driving basically with one hand behind their back because of the, well, incompetence of Alain Prost. As Modena with only a few laps to go. Oh, that's another brake failure. And that he's into the wall there, not as hard as how Alboreto managed to make contact with the wall, and Bailey off as well. Oh, that's a big one. Big one for Julian Bailey. Another brake failure here, and that was a huge impact with the wall. Lap 60. Senna's out as well. I don't believe what I'm seeing. Senna on the 2nd to last lap has retired from this race from the most comfortable of positions, and that's going to allow Nelson Piquet. On lap 61, he's going to win the race. Senna retiring on the 2nd to last lap after utter domination this whole weekend. And Nelson Piquet, the reigning world champion, is going to win the 1988 San Marino Grand Prix and with it, take the championship lead. Nelson Piquet, we did not expect that to happen. Piquet, the championship leader now, wins a crazy 1988 San Marino Grand Prix. Eddie Chiva finishes in 2nd and Boutsen, who was 26th in last place on lap 3, finishes in 3rd place. Ivan Capelli scoring good points. Nannini, who was 25th on lap 3, finishes in 5th. And Ayrton Senna still picks up a point, even though he did retire on the 2nd to last lap. And Arnoux, Alio, Salah, Johansson, the final finishes. So only 9 drivers actually finishing the race here. The retirement rate has been really high this weekend. But Nelson Piquet winning, that's very impressive. And Martin Brundle classified down in 16th place with suspension failure, Alboreto brake failure. Both Williams actually went down as brake failures. So apparently Patrese also suffered brake issues on the same lap as his Williams counterpart, Mansell. And there's Alain Prost retiring due to a collision. His own fault. It's not been a reliability issue at all this season for Alain Prost. But he's retired from both races, and Nelson Piquet leads the way in the Drivers' Championship, 12 points to Ayrton Senna's 11, and that means the top 2 in the championship are both Brazilian drivers. Alboreto in 3rd, Eddie Chiva with that result today brings him up into 4th place. He's splitting the Ferraris, brilliant work there, and Boutsen up to 6th. We've had 9 drivers score points so far this season. Martin Brundle languishes down in 19th place in the championship. Not the greatest, not the worst though, and it's more than we expected the Streamline to achieve anyway. And we did say they'd probably retire from 50% of the races anyway, so far we have retired from 50% of the races, so it's kind of following the pattern that we thought we'd expect going into this season. Piercarlo Ginzani 31st, but we'll definitely see more drivers next weekend because of the injuries definitely sustained to some of these drivers today. Onto the team standings, and Lotus actually take the lead because McLaren only scoring 1 point here today. So it's Lotus, McLaren and Ferrari. Ferrari, of course, failing to score today as well. Benetton scoring good points, so did Arrows, and so did March as well. Williams not scoring today, but 7 teams have scored points so far this season. Streamline have slipped down to 13th place from 10th to 13th, so not great, but not horrendous as well. We're still ahead of a few drivers, like a few teams, should I say, like Scuderia Italia, Eurobrun and Acela. And that, guys, is the end of today's video. It's a shame that Martin Brundle did retire from the race so early on as well, so we were stripped of some potential action later on. But make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Like the video and comment down below what you thought about it. And that's about it, guys. We do have a Discord dedicated to this series, which is in the link in the description of this video. And make sure to share it around if you want other people to experience Streamline as well. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, and I'll hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.